Welcome back to Clutch Time Huddle. Our next topic we want to touch on a little bit is Darrelle Revis. He's a hot name this offseason. He wants a lot of money, a lot of jack. The Jets, they're in a bad situation. He's getting at the point, he's 31. The Jets aren't going anywhere. They need a quarterback. They need some weapons. I can't see a way he's not traded. I don't know. You tell me.
One of the things that I've heard is some teams are not sold on him due to his health. I think that's something that some people don't tend to realize when you're talking about Darrelle Revis. Will a team want to give him a pile of money coming off the injury? That's something that has to be considered. That everyone say, oh, it's Darrelle Revis. Oh, he's an all-pro. But is he technically still an all-pro in your mind coming off an injury?
He is. Revis hasn't had a long injury history. It's not like he's got this long list of injuries that have bogged him down. He's been an elite player. And I would go even further than elite. I think he's the type of player that transcends a generation. He's our Deion Sanders. Outside of Deion, I don't recall a cornerback in my lifetime that just took away one side of the field. You can talk about interceptions, passes defended. He shuts down receivers on the entire side of the field. You come on the side of the field, you know you're not getting the ball. Offense has got a scheme around that. That is a lot of money, I will say that. But when you get that type of player and that type of prime, and he's still in his prime. He's got another 3 or 4 years before, as long as his knee holds up, before he's actually considered an old guy. The Jets aren't in a position. Do you see a trade or not?
Well, one thing that I didn't want to cut you off. One thing I'm going to say is the Eagles signed Hanami Asameo. He could shut down a side of the defense. He was the guy. Yes, he's older. Revis only 27. One thing you have to remember is look at certain schemes. Look at where certain guys played. If he goes to a team, like you said, a possible trade, there's plenty of trade destinations for a guy like Darrelle Revis. He's a top player in the NFL. Talk about the Eagles. I just said them. 49ers have plenty of resources to go get him. Yes, I do agree with you on one point. He is a very talented quarterback. Yes, he probably comes back, has another fantastic year. He's going to get a big contract, like you said. But I still tend to wonder. I still think there's some mystery with the injury. I know he's working to be 100% by training camp. However, you asked about a trade, it's going to happen. I mean, there's just no way that he comes back to the Jets. They need his salary cap relief. They need his money. Where do you think the best potential landing spot is for him?
Some of the places I looked at, before I jump into that, did you hear the number he's asking? He wants to be paid as the highest defensive player in football. Mario Williams last year broke the bank in Buffalo, and I love defense. Let's not say I am an offensive guy, but I love defense. And does that kind of player change like a Mario was? Did he change much in Buffalo? Did he really? They didn't make the playoffs. They're drafting top 10. Was he worth the money? Sure, he had a decent year, but did he do enough to warrant that kind of money? Revis, I think, is the kind of guy you can, because it is such a passing league, because cornerbacks are so hard to find. Some of the places I've been hearing are Philly. I've heard Philly. I don't know if that happens. I do know there's a need. I don't know if they're going to pay the price. Chip Kelly's got a lot of work to do there. He's got a whole transition he's bringing in, a whole different offense. His defense is similar but different. You know what I mean? You got the Predator. It's a whole different scheme. I've been hearing Indy is the team I think is the best fit. They've got their quarterback. They could use some weapons on offense. The offensive line, some help. Defense, they have Vontae Davis, but I still think that if you added Darrelle Revis, they have the picks. As far as I'm hearing, the price is going down and down. They wanted a first and a conditional. Now I'm hearing a second next year, or a second and a third this year. You get the deal done just because they don't want to be stuck getting nothing for a guy like Darrelle Revis.
Well, it's interesting. You're talking about giving all those resources to get Darrelle Revis. We just talked about Alex Smith. You got 2 second-round draft picks for a quarterback. Now you're talking about a cornerback netting the same price tag. Is very interesting. I do agree with you on one hand that, yes, he can shut down a defense. Yes, he definitely is somebody that teams will go after. The Atlanta Falcons just got Dante Robinson. He signed on elsewhere. Brett Grimes, we'll talk about him later. They definitely have a means to go get him. Also, one thing, what about the Detroit Lions? They have needed a cornerback for years and could possibly having Calvin Johnson to work with during practice. Is that something that you see as possible, the Detroit Lions?
I have Detroit on my list. Detroit's one of the teams I looked at. But the money they have tied up into 3 players, I just don't see where he fits in. You got Calvin Johnson. He's not going anywhere. He's a beast. He's the best receiver in the game. He changes the game. You have Stafford, who was still, when he was drafted number 1, they were still setting out a lot of money where quarterbacks are making $40, $50 million. They can't really do much with him. No one's going to make a move for him. You can't lose your quarterback. And then you have Ndamukong Suh, who's killing him. You can't, if they would trade for Revis and sign him to what he, even close to what he's asking for, that's 4 players taking up probably half of their cap room. My outside team, before we shut this down, is Tampa Bay. Watch Tampa Bay. They lost to Talib. They have some money. They've been known to make moves. They were the player last year. What's your thoughts?
I do agree with Tampa Bay. There's definitely a need there. It's crazy. They traded Talib because they're just sick of his character. So I do agree they have a lot of cap space. They have a lot of money to go get him. One team, I know you're going to highly disagree with me, and that's fine. New England Patriots. I know they don't want to trade within the division, but they have a history of trading draft picks for getting players. Darrelle Revis to the New England Patriots, to me, is a sleeper to watch. Fans out there are pulling their hair out. You're disagreeing because you're in that division, but in my opinion, that's my sleeper team, and people could disagree with that, and that's fine, but that's my sleeper team.
After some of the times some people I've talked to, the reason they want to trade Revis is to keep him away from New England. They don't want to face him 2 times a year. Otherwise, they sit on him. They sit on him, let him get his value up, because you know he's going to come back. He's going to be Darrelle Revis. The more he plays, the higher his value is.
It could be, yes.
We're going to stay on the Revis topic. There's been some controversy lately between a couple of the cornerbacks. We'll touch on that next.